Merlyn. We just met, but just for the video. Nice to meet you. Apparently we color coordinated today, or at least outfit coordinated. It's nice to meet you and lovely to be at your office here in Amsterdam. I'm Emma. I am a psychologist at OpenUp. And OpenUp is a preventative mental health care platform. And we have a partnership together with you, with Dott. But before we dive in a little bit more about, talking about mental health, which is our goal here today, would you mind also introducing yourself?
First of all, welcome also Emma. It's great to have you here and that we are able to have this session live in the office. OpenUp and the support that you give is something we care very much about, and I think it adds great value, and of course we will talk more about that. A little bit about me to introduce myself to you, and for those that have not yet met me, my name is Merlyn and I am the Chief People Officer here at Dott.
Thank you. And to kick off our conversation today about mental health, I always like to start with the question, how are you really doing today, Merlyn?
Yeah, that's a good question. Today, actually not that bad. Could be better also, to be really honest. So I think a bit of a mix. And maybe to directly, very transparently share, I'm in the middle of an actual divorce. And that goes with ups and downs. So yeah, I think today is not too bad, but of course also there are things in my mind also happening in my private life that have impact.
Thank you for sharing your honest answer there. It actually touches upon what I'd want to ask you next, and that is whether you'd be open to sharing a bit more about struggles and challenges that you are or have faced regarding your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy I'm very open to share some of my own experiences. Because it's important, I think, we share. The more I think we all realize we all go through personal life events and we struggle, it's good to be very open about that. So yeah, definitely, I also have different life experiences. One of them also being a burnout. That is now 10 years ago. So yeah, that was definitely impactful, and always thinking that will never happen to me. And I think people that maybe have gone through it, or people maybe that are struggling, or people that think that will also never happen to me. I was one of those persons as well, working 60, 70 hours a week, always wanting to prove myself, work hard, and have a lot of demanding items to myself as well. So I think that has been one big learning journey that has now been 10 years ago. So maybe let's for now keep it with that one.
Thank you also for sharing that, and it sounds like quite a journey you must have been on then. And how do you feel that experience has impacted you now?
I think what it definitely did to me was to realize that same as me, like thought that would never happen to me, but also knowing what it actually means to be in a burnout, you can much better relate to people that go through it as well. Prior to me experiencing it myself, I was like, okay, what is that? And I was and am very empathic by nature, but still, I think if you haven't gone through it, you don't know how difficult that can be. So I think it helped me not only personally, but also in my work and in my job to really have that understanding. And also to help people that struggle with the same, if they reach out to me, I have chats with them, and I think they really also show that it's different if you talk to someone who has also gone through that, and sometimes give them also some tips and share how did I cope with it, what did I do to make sure I was on the better end eventually. And I still, of course, keep remembering that although it was a very difficult time to go through, it also helped me a lot, and I'm actually also grateful for having experienced it, because it also taught me a lot of things that I probably should have applied earlier. So it's a bit of, at the time it was a struggle, but now I'm actually also much more mindful and considerate about the decisions I make, and I think that is what it has contributed to.
Yes, I'm really hearing the ability to relate to others, and from your experiences and what you've learned, also share your knowledge and wisdom there, but also impacting how, the choices that you make nowadays regarding your mental health. And maybe linking in onto that, what do you currently do to kind of maintain your mental health and to look after yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. At times, I sometimes have to remember, like, oh yes, I do have to take care, because it's easy.
We all do.
Absolutely. It's easy to go back to your normal rhythm and don't be mindful about, okay, how do you balance work, life, experiences that happen in life. So I do have to remind myself. Actually, this last Sunday, and that was before I knew we would have this conversation, I had a full retreat silence day. And what I try to do is definitely take moments for myself, do a lot of walking, but also be more strict to myself about not working 80 hours a week continuously, and make sure my balance is better in place, but that I also find things that really give me energy. So that is like, okay, I like listening to music, or playing with the children, so be more mindful about what actually brings me energy, and also be much more clear to also stop things that don't give me energy, or maybe even in relationships that you have maintained for 10 years, like, are these relationships really giving me the extra that are also helping in my own energy level. So I think it's also, when you experience this, you make different decisions, and I think that is a conclusion I also take away from it.
Yeah, so different decisions, in also, I think, very filled toolbox of tools that you use to keep taking care of your mental health. And I think it's very true what you said. We always need to keep reminding ourselves, right? Just like going to the gym to look after our bodies, also to do the same for our mental health. And based on this experience that you've had and how you try to take care of yourself now, what would you advise your younger self?
My younger self, if I would look back 15 years ago, it's a difficult one, because now it's easy to say, but how do you convince someone 15 years younger that really thinks everything is still possible, and you can just go in lengths without issues? I think the biggest point is, but maybe that's also a little bit more unique to me, maybe to give first another story. When I started working, that's now almost 24 years ago, going to a psychologist or getting help was sort of not really so much done. It was not also, if you had issues at work with stress or work-life balance, that was also definitely different than what it is today. And there's still, of course, more to be done there. We're not yet where we should be, but there's definitely a big difference. And I think the biggest would be just to make sure it's okay not to be okay, and ask for help in time, and don't always think it will not happen, or I don't need help. And sometimes that's still a struggle, because I sometimes have conversations with people where I think, oh, this might really go in the wrong direction, also in private life. And still some people are just really struggling to really have that first reach out. And that's, in this case, can be to open up, or to a friend, or to a family member. So I think the biggest tip would be talk about it, and take good care of yourself. And that is also asking for help when you need help.
Yeah, so times have changed indeed, but still, of course, a way to go. And part of that way is indeed reaching out for help when it's needed. And thank you also for sharing that. So maybe zooming out, if that's okay, from your personal experience, regarding mental health at Dott, what are the challenges and the struggles that you mainly see from your role within the company?
I think one of the biggest or the key topics that we see at Dott is definitely how do people be able to manage what is expected at work, and also in private life, and how to balance that well. And partially also in some context, how do you complete your job with what is expected, and what we see most out of engagement survey, but also now of the initial key elements that people ask for help for is work performance and balance. So I think that is something also partially due to Corona changing also the way how we work. We work more from home, where a lot of people enjoy that as well, but the difference between working from home and your private lives also becomes much smaller. So, and I experienced that as well. It's easy to continue after working at your laptop at home till 7 or 8, and then, oh, you're at home, there's not that in-between break time. So I think those we see mostly as current struggles that also employees experience at Dott.
Yeah, and I think very real and common struggles to hear. I think the hybrid way of working has had such an impact on how we work and how we divide life between work and private, and is it even separate anymore? And what's the reason that Dott has partnered with OpenUp to address some of these challenges?
One big reason, actually, I've also worked with OpenUp before. I think it's really, and for Dott, we one of our key values and company values is we take care of each other. And making sure that when people struggle, and that is not only always applied to work life, but also personal life, a lot of us go through personal situations as well. We want to make sure that people have someone to reach out to and to make that bridge also easier. In the current health environment, it's very difficult to get a psychologist on a short notice, and it's a big step to take, and you have to go either to the GP first to get maybe a letter, and well, with OpenUp it's really good that you have direct access within even 1 or 2 days, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, so really the ease and the speed for people when they reach out to get the help as quickly as they can. And how are people responding within Dott to Dott offering the services of OpenUp?
Well, we have not a lot of people that reached out to us to say great. There's definitely a few people that said yes. But I think it's better to actually share that we see people are making use of it. So what we only receive, of course, is the amount of people that actually make use of the service, and that again confirms that hopefully what indeed we have offered now with OpenUp, that it helps those people that are reaching out. And even if it's only 5 people that reach out, I think it's already worth having implemented this.
That's good to hear. And maybe to conclude our conversation, what is the one thing that you hope the listeners here today are taking away from us talking today?
I think it comes back to the point that I already mentioned, that it's also okay if you are struggling, and that it's also okay to ask for help. And that, maybe another point that is very important, I think we can meet colleagues in the office or online. You actually never know what might at that time happen with someone also at work or at home. As I shared my example now, I'm going through divorce. And of course some colleagues around me know, but you never know what's at the other end and what people go through. And I think just to be receptive for that, and sometimes also us as colleagues or as managers in the company, just sometimes ask a little bit more, how are you really doing? And is there something I can do for you? And just make sure that that question that seems so easy is more often asked. So that is maybe not only a wish, but also ask for everyone to take that a little bit more into action as well.
I think a very important and strong takeaway. Merlyn, thank you for your honesty and opening up today with me and with everybody else who's listening. I believe this is then the end of the session here today. Thank you again, Merlyn. Thank you, Maxime, and thank you, Dott, for having me today.
Thank you, Emma.
That was a great pleasure. Thank you.